starting off with Georgia versus Texas should be a super fun game. It's going to be in Austin, Texas, F1 weekend. This is Texas's really, I would say, official first SEC game.
Yeah. This feels like their first test for the year because
right.
you only play the guy in front of you, but okay, they beat up on Michigan, who for all intents and purposes is not that great. And then they play Oklahoma, who is also a newcomer to the SEC. They beat Mississippi State, bottom of the SEC. I think this Georgia team is something that they haven't seen yet in the competition this year, and could give them a game. Now, 3.5-point favorites. Texas is at home at night, but I don't think this is really a spot you want to be in as a Georgia fan. You have a couple tough games this year. You already lost one to Alabama. Now you got Georgia. You got Ole Miss down the road. If you're a Georgia fan, how do you feel coming into this game knowing that Texas is number one? Are you scared, or do you think your Georgia teams can hang?
I think if you're a realistic Georgia fan, you're a little bit concerned. This is the first season where you've had to kind of feel and wonder if this team can play up to the top competition, because Georgia was the top dog. They'd only lost 3 or 4 games the past couple seasons. They've always looked extra dominant. Most teams couldn't even get within 7 to 14 points. But this year they've looked vulnerable. They've looked vulnerable in the passing game. The rushing game is bottom 5 in the conference right now when it comes to yards per game. And the defense of late has not been looking as impressive. So you feel a little bit vulnerable. I think you feel more vulnerable just given the Alabama loss, right? If you were undefeated right now, you have a mulligan if you drop this game. But I think you're feeling a little bit more concerned with what you got around you, just given what you've seen and given how dominant Texas has looked. It's more about Texas and less about Georgia to me in some ways.
Yeah. So hitting on the Georgia side of the ball, I think this Georgia team has everything that they need to be the number one team. I think that they have everything that they need to do to win this game, but they haven't put it together completely yet. So the Kentucky game, close. They didn't play it to their best. Alabama game, they turned it on late, but it was too late.
Yep.
This Texas team isn't going to give you that opportunity. If they start pulling away, I think that's it.
Yeah.
The Mississippi State game last week was way closer than it needed to be. And a lot of these mistakes are coming at Carson Beck's early decision-making that he then writes at the end of the game. So I think this Georgia team is as good as he plays. And in big games, he seems to do all right. So I think that this could be an opportunity for them to show that they could get started early. The weapons are going to need to show out and make some plays, though.
Yeah. And they're going to need to do some things that a lot of teams have not been able to do a lot this week, which is, create turnovers against Texas's offense, right? Quinn Ewers, I think he had 1 turnover last week, but in general has looked pretty efficient this season. Has done a good job protecting the football. This running game with Jaden Blue has been able to look pretty positive, but it's Georgia, to me, I agree with you on the Carson Beck side. It rides with him playing at his height. We've talked about some of the easy interceptions he's thrown, but we've also seen throws where you're like, oh, okay, that's the first round grade quarterback that we've been talking about all offseason. That's what we come to expect, right? He's helping raise the ceiling of guys like Dominic Lovett and Dylan Bell and Colby Young, right? Not in this game for Colby, but for Dominic Lovett and for Dylan Bell, he's raising the ceiling of these guys. And I do think Georgia has all those pieces offensively to take it to a team. So it'll be interesting to see what this Texas defense can do against a high-powered offense like this, right? You talked about it in the recap. Texas really hasn't had to really face a big explosive offense. They played mostly backups.
Yeah.
Some that last name, resembles ass.
Yeah. They ULM General Booty.
Yeah.
They haven't seen anything like this. Last week, the defense helped the offense through their slow start. The score at the end of the Oklahoma-Texas game, you would have thought that Texas dominated the whole way through, but they really came out kind of flat offensively. Quinn Ewers had the interception out the gate. They struggled to get started early. Their defense kept giving them the ball back. This Georgia team is not Oklahoma offensively. They're considerably better. They have better weapons. They have a better quarterback. They have decent running backs. They will be missing their power back, Branson Robinson, for this game, who's been good around the goal line. But for what it's worth, I think this Georgia team is they are the best team this Texas team has played. Now, Texas hasn't showed a whole lot of weakness this year. I said that in the recap episode, our previous one, that until I see someone really test Texas, it's hard to know where the weakness is for this team.
Yep.
And it is pressuring the quarterback, maybe getting some turnovers, but the defense is playing well also. So in this game, Georgia has a lot to play for. Texas loses this game. It's not over for them. Georgia loses this game. They're starting to feel that heat of where do we fit in this playoff picture. I think this is the SEC powerhouse game, and it means a lot to both teams.
I definitely agree with you, right? And I feel like we're kind of wrapping up here a little bit, but I don't think we would do this preview justice if we didn't talk about Texas's defense, right? We've talked about Texas's offense. This Texas defense right now, if you listen to the power rankings, is top 3 in the conference. It's one of the top in the nation. And they have played who they've played. And so that's where this is going to be Georgia's best defense they've gone against.
Mm-hmm.
And with the offense, who has all the weapons, the key to the game for them offensively is getting more production out of the run game, and really getting Dominic Lovett warm and getting him ready to kind of have a big game and advance the ball on these third downs, when we think about how they can win this game.
Yeah, absolutely. No, the Texas defense is stellar. They've been playing well. Georgia defense has shown some weak spots. They've shown bright spots as well. I think Texas just overall right now is more consistent. So if we're looking at keys to the game for Georgia, I think you need to have some consistency on the offense early. You can't come back in this game. You need to start at the same way you want to finish. That's just sports talk right there. Just come out strong.
Yeah.
But on the other side of the ball, if you're Texas, take care of the ball on offense. They had the ball security issues in a couple games. It hasn't hurt them because of the level of competition that they're playing. This Georgia team will capitalize on that if you let it get to that point. Alabama was not turning the ball over to Georgia, and that is what helped them in this game to get to that point where, if you fumble the ball a couple times, give Georgia a short field, it could get away. But Texas 3.5-point favorites. What's your call?
Yeah, I agree with the majority of your points. Especially that first point. Georgia got to get the offense going early. Didn't really see that against Bama. Didn't really see that against some of the other teams they've played this season. So that'll be a key if they want to establish momentum. My prediction in this game, I got Texas. Them boys in orange. Texas is back. They're gonna keep doing what they're doing. 35-17, Texas.
Whew. Okay, we're kind of close.
Yeah.
I got Texas big as well, 37-24. I think that it is a slower start for Georgia, unfortunately for them, and then they're fighting from behind for the rest of the season. Texas just looks too strong right now for me.
Yep.